I wanted to come on here and talk about this Olympic runner for the U.S. team, or who used to be a runner for the U.S. team, whose name is Shelby Houlihan. Now, everybody knows what's going on with Sha'Carri Richardson currently at the moment by now. And if y'all did not know, Sha'Carri, they basically said now she doesn't even qualify for the relay, which a lot of people thought she was going to run in after her suspension due to the marijuana issue. But now it has come out that she's no longer even going to be able to compete in that because she didn't make the last two discretionary spots that were available. And basically, because she didn't make it with the 100-meter, that pretty much cemented her not being able to get the spot, but it was still up in the air because it was still a possibility that she could have. So now she won't be competing in the Olympics at all. So they said she won't be doing any more kind of competition-based things until next year at the World Championships. I think they said in Eugene, Oregon. And then most likely, if everything is still good on the flow in 4 years, we'll see her at the Olympics in 2024 in Paris. But I wanted to talk about this Shelby Houlihan because I don't feel like there's enough people even remotely talking about her situation, which her situation is, if not as bad, but maybe even worse than Sha'Carri Richardson. But because Sha'Carri Richardson is who she is and she's propped up, they're going to talk about her more. But I think Shelby Houlihan should be talked about just as much. So basically, Shelby Houlihan, like I said, is a runner, or was a runner for the U.S. team. And basically, she ended up getting suspended and banned from playing or participating in this year's Olympics because apparently, according to her and her team, a burrito that she ate had steroids in it unbeknownst to her. And when she did her drug test, it came back positive for steroids. And not only was she not able to compete in this year's Olympics, but she got a 4-year ban, which means she can't even compete in the next Olympics in 2024. So her ban and suspension is worse than Sha'Carri's, but they're not even remotely talking about it the way that they should. And whenever I talk about it on social media, it doesn't get that much attention. But if I talk about Sha'Carri, it gets so much response to it. And I keep saying, I said, why isn't anyone talking about Shelby Houlihan? And let me also remind you, this story about Shelby Houlihan went completely under the radar. This story that I'm about to read to you came out 2 weeks ago. I never once saw it even trend on Twitter. But what happened with Sha'Carri, it was everywhere. Like, you could not stop seeing it. She was trending #1 around the world. I think they did that because they needed to give Shelby Houlihan cover. And I don't give a damn if Shelby Houlihan is not as popular as Sha'Carri. The fact of the matter is, they are literally treating this two different ways when Shelby Houlihan's situation is way worse than Sha'Carri. Now, some people are going to say, well, it's not like Shelby Houlihan didn't know that Shelby Houlihan knew that there was steroids inside of the burrito that she allegedly ate. Is that the angle that we're going with now? Because I bet you if Sha'Carri Richardson was in the same position, y'all probably would have said the same thing. Oh, she knew it was in it. Oh, she needed to watch what she ate. All I'm saying is this: have the same energy. I don't care if Shelby Houlihan is not as known as Sha'Carri Richardson. Keep the same energy there. Or is this Operation Protect the White Bitch again? And I just talked about that in another video. Oh, because I'm not going to let that, it's not like we didn't know who she was. You know who she is now. But see, that's why there's certain people that are qualified to be the voices of the new black media, because some people will only go surface level. Now that I've gotten my little intro rant out of the way, I'm going to get into this article that was posted 2 weeks ago that went under the radar. Posted June 15th, 2021. And the crazy part about it is a lot of the articles involving Shelby Houlihan are from 2 weeks ago. But Sha'Carri Richardson, the most recent article was today, and I'm recording this video on July 6, 2021. Years of training and preparation to reach the Tokyo Olympics are out of the window for Shelby Houlihan, an American runner, because of a positive drug test. She says a pork burrito is to blame. The Court of Arbitration for Sport upheld a 4-year suspension that took effect on Monday for Houlihan, who American records for 1,500 and 5,000 meter races and tested positive for anabolic steroid nandrolone. The course move finalized a decision that worked its way through track and field's anti-doping system as Houlihan unsuccessfully argued that pork from a burrito she purchased at a food near her home in Beaverton, Oregon, led to her positive test in December. Now look at that. A positive test from December, which means this has been in her system for months. So let's see, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, because that's when it got discovered. So you're talking about roughly 6.5, almost 7 months, because they didn't specify what date in December, what the date was, but they just said it was in the month of December. Meanwhile, with Sha'Carri, as far as we know, they said that she coped with hers. She did what she did after dealing with the death of her mother, which we know happened last month. But see, a lot of people don't believe that she got this from a so-called truck, or not truck, but a burrito. They don't believe that she got it from a food truck. And if I was the people who own that food truck, I would do have an investigation done to see, is it there in the food, or is she making all of this up? And that's another thing. They're not even really questioning whether she's actually telling the truth about this or not. But apparently they don't buy it because look at her situation. But we're going to get some more into that. I feel completely devastated, lost, broken, angry, confused, and betrayed by the very sport that I loved and poured myself into just to see how good I was. Houlihan, age 28, said about in an Instagram post that shared details about her suspension. Now, see, the thing is, she has age on her side. Well, not on her side. She's 28. And in 4 years, it's 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. She can't even compete in 4 years when she's 33. So that gives an additional 4 years in, say, 2028, if she even still wants to do it. And she'll be pushing 40. So her career probably is very well dead in the toilet as far as the Olympics goes. The suspension disqualified Houlihan from the U.S. Olympic trials in Eugene, Oregon, which are scheduled to begin on Friday, and means she cannot earn a spot in the Tokyo Games beginning late July. Houlihan said she was informed of her test result on January 14th by the Athletics Integrity Unit, which manages drug testing for World Athletics, the global governing body for track and field. When I got that email, I had to read it over about 10 times and Google what it was that I had just tested positive for. She said in the post, I had never heard of nandrolone. Now, she tested positive back in January of this year, but we're just now learning about it in June as if she just tested positive in June. So they really kept this hush-hush. She made a list of all the food she consumed the week of December 15th when the drug test was done and eventually concluded that the burrito eaten about 10 hours before her sample was taken led to the positive test. Pig organ meat, or offal, has the highest levels of nandrolone, she said, adding that her attempts to establish her innocence, including a polygraph test and having a sample of her hair tested by a toxicologist, were not successful. Brett Clothier, head of the Athletics Integrity Unit, said Houlihan's case was handled properly according to the guidance of the World Anti-Doping Agency. After being charged by the AIU, Ms. Houlihan's case was heard by a 3-member panel at the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which made its decision after hearing evidence and arguments that from the athletes' lawyers in the AIU. Clothier said in an email, the Court of Arbitration for Sport, he added, informed its agency that it plans to share its grounds for upholding the suspension soon. Houlihan made her first Olympic team in 2016 when she placed 11th in the women's 5,000 meter final. In July 2020, during an intra-squad club meet, she improved her American record with a time of 14 minutes and 23.92 seconds in the 5,000 meters. At the 2019 World Championship, she ran the 1,500 meters in a 3-hour 54-minute 99 second for the 4th place in an American record. Houlihan is not the first athlete to blame positive tests on things that are clearly not performance-enhancing drugs. Some athletes have tested positive for traces of banned substances in antidepressant, different types of meat, and even from substances transmitted through sex. In 2018, the boxer Saul Alvarez, nicknamed Canelo, blamed tainted meat for his positive test of clenbuterol, a drug that can be used to increase muscle mass and reduce body fat. He was suspended for 6 months, delaying a lucrative rematch with Gennady Golovkin. For Houlihan, the 4-year suspension disqualifies her from the 2022 World Championships, which were scheduled near where she lives in Eugene. In her Instagram post, she said she wanted to clearly state that she had never taken any performance enhancement substances. I believe in the sport and pushing your body to the limit just to see where the limit is. She added, I'm not interested in cheating. I'm telling you right now, if this was Sha'Carri Richardson and this was her story, there would have been so much pushback just on this alone. Now, like I said, all of this happened, and I'm just now reading this, learning that this occurred back in January, as far as her testing positive for steroids, thinking that she tested positive last month, thinking that it's more recent, and it's recent, but it's not that recent. But because she's not Sha'Carri Richardson, and I guess because people quote unquote don't care, they're kind of like leaving it like they left it kind of open. So it makes you wonder what made them bring it up 2 weeks before what happened with Sha'Carri Richardson. And the thing it is, now that what happened with Sha'Carri Richardson has happened, now they're going to make this story fade even more into obscurity. But my thing is, all the people who have all the energy and the smoke for Sha'Carri Richardson, where's the smoke for her? This may be a better question. Where's the excuses? Because I know they coming. The smoking probably won't happen. The excuses will definitely hit, though. For sure. Now, if what she says is true and it did come from some meat that she ate, then yeah, that would be messed up. Because it's like, wow, food actually did this. But at the same time, like someone else I was talking to a few days ago, that's why these athletes need to know what they're consuming and putting into their body food-wise. Because some of this stuff is pumped up with steroids and other additives that should not be there, but they put it there anyway. But it is what it is. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments.